Conor McGregor crossed the line with his tweet about Khabib Nurmagomedov's wife. I'm not stating my opinion, it's a fact. We know the tweet crossed the line because Conor McGregor knows that to catch the most fish, you gotta bait the hook with something that triggers a bite without thinking. Hello, I'm Cavassier the goddamn Newt. I don't like this kind of thing. It's crass and overly expedient. It's not how I would handle business. But at the same time, it's a tweet. These are words. In the short term, Khabib and Conor are oppositional in a zero-sum game. Khabib needs Conor to lose if he's going to win, and vice versa. Long term, it's Conor's previous success that made Khabib so much money when he faced McGregor, many times more than the combined total of his previous 10 matchups in the UFC. He's not exactly thankful, is he? I'm not here trying to be the best moralist in the flock. I'm a run-of-the-mill free speech absolutist, simply trying my best to stand on my own hind legs and think my own damn thoughts. McGregor took the low road, again, and Khabib was right there waiting for him. In a way, they make a good pair. You could cast him as the new odd couple, but a little more volatile. The tweet is crude and designed to be offensive. I think anyone who wants to be offended absolutely has the privilege to feel offended. I wouldn't try to take that away from anyone. For me, I'd rather analyze the situation and learn what the various behaviors might tell us. For example, I noticed a shift in McGregor's behavior, starting with the cell phone snatch and smash incident. The deeper I dive into what he's been doing, the more a pattern starts to emerge. Khabib Nurmagomedov is in Conor McGregor's head. For the first time, he's becoming obsessed with Khabib. And like any newfound passion, he won't stand to be ignored about it. He's telling the world. We'll use this mean tweet as a jumping-off point to explain McGregor's most recent behaviors. Everything from the cell phone smash to his failed negotiations with the UFC, the real meaning behind his retirement tweet, and what he hopes to achieve with this classless approach towards Khabib, and what the likely outcome will be. If you want to know all of this and more, stick around. The tweet itself isn't a big damn deal. I mean, you're gonna find 50 meaner tweets between fighters on any given Tuesday before noon. Of course, the corporate stooges at the big MMA sites jumped to the most salacious interpretation possible and bleated that Conor was attacking or insulting Khabib's wife. Wrong. We all know the target is Khabib, not his wife. It's not like she gets a choice. It's lazy and disingenuous to say otherwise. Plus, it inflames the situation just to drive a few more clicks. I'm surprised the usual gaggle didn't simply check Khabib's wife's Twitter account to see her reaction. And it's crazy to me that friend of the channel, Ariel Helwani, absolutely refuses to interview the woman. I'll bet she has quite the story to tell. Can you imagine the insights she'd be able to provide about Khabib and their amazing home life? It would be such an inspiration. Ariel should really get on that. McGregor had two intentions for this tweet. First was to get Khabib's GOAT, to make their rivalry more personal and unavoidable. And second was to trigger the gaggle into doing the heavy lifting for him. He manipulated much of the MMA media into the kind of hysterics and hyperbole that maximizes demand for a fight among the 85% of sports fans who only have a casual appreciation for the UFC at best. It's similar to how he tweaked MMA and boxing writers into a droning chorus about how a fight between McGregor and Floyd Mayweather would not and could not ever happen.
And didn't he?
And if it did, it would be over in well less than a round, so who would buy the pay-per-view anyways? Look, this is why McGregor posted the tweet and then took it down so quickly, long before there was an outcry. It's the tweet and the delete that's like blood in the water for those on the hunt to be offended on the behalf of others. And it worked perfectly. McGregor's obsession with Khabib is new. He wasn't engaged like this during the promotion of UFC 229.
I am the Floyd Mayweather in MMA.
If you'll remember, before the fight was made, McGregor seldom mentioned him at all. When asked about potential opponents early in 2018, Conor referred to him as the undefeated Dagestani. He gave no shine or consideration. During the build-up itself, his focus on Khabib was lukewarm at best. The fight was officially booked for weeks before McGregor posted a single thing about Khabib. I think there's a general sense there was more of a real intense rivalry between the two because Khabib and his team did so much damn talking about Conor in the 2 years between UFC 205 and 229. And the fact that Khabib completely lost his mind after a single press conference and a handful of tweets from McGregor. You've got to believe that incentivized what Conor is doing now. Oddly, when McGregor started firing back just before the first press conference in New York, Khabib stopped all his yapping, wouldn't engage, and the buildup was basically Conor promoting his whiskey.
Khabib, do you have any response to what Conor just said?
This is everything.
Khabib was an afterthought to McGregor at UFC 229. So stupid. Everyone understood the matchup hugely favored Khabib. But McGregor never developed a vision about Khabib or how to fight him. He just wasn't invested. Instead, he relied on his coach, John Kavanagh, to develop a game plan. Sometime after, he admitted this was his biggest regret. Conor doesn't know why he delegated that responsibility for the first time in his career, especially since he should have known that Khabib would be his biggest challenge. But we can understand. McGregor never saw Khabib as a threat, as a puzzle to be solved. He was so focused on the whiskey business and himself that he assumed he could show up on fight night and magic would happen, like playing the hero in a movie, which proves how quickly someone can forget what made them successful in the first place. Things changed with the cell phone incident. McGregor's great with fans. Always has been. He gives more authentic time and effort to his fans than pretty much anyone who's at his level of fame. So there was something going on when he snatches a dude's phone right out in public, curb stomps the damn thing, and then walks away with it. I couldn't figure out why McGregor would react like this when he's been in the same situation with tens of thousands of fans over the years.
He came to shake my hand, and as soon as he come shake my hand, he pulled me in and he grabbed my phone and started smashing it. And all his security guards literally surrounded me, pushed me out of the way, and he's stomping it on it. And then I was like, yo, sir, can I have my phone back? And then they was like, yo, move, man, move. You better listen to Conor say what Conor say. McGregor picked the phone up, put it in his pocket, laughed, and then he got in his, I think it was like an SUV, big car, Cadillac or whatever it was, and they drove up literally.
It's unlikely this dude's a Conor fan. Apparently, he claims to be a massive Khabib fan on social media. Well, so what? McGregor's had a mountain of negativity dumped on him by Khabib fans for years now. He's always rolled with it just fine. So why snatch and smash this guy's phone? He didn't take compromising photos of Conor, or it would have come out by now. Basic reasoning tells us the guy must have said something that triggered Conor. But he has thick skin when it comes to what people say. Plus, he's intelligent, so when he reacts to words, he uses his own words to make the other person look bad. My guess is the dude said something about Khabib or the loss or the tap, and he just snapped. He didn't know he was about to lose his cool, so he wasn't able to get out ahead of it because he's never been that sensitive about a loss. That tells us something's changed inside of Conor's mind. Khabib was on his mind, and likely in his head in a way that made him uncharacteristically sensitive. For me, this is the starting point to understanding where he's at mentally now and how to interpret his behaviors.
And that's what I feel has happened here, you know? I didn't give him his respect, I marched forward, didn't give a I got caught with that overhand.
This video came out of him talking in a bar during a whiskey promotion tour. This adds to the notion that Conor has Khabib on the brain. He's starting to give Khabib credit for what he did well, which he'd always done in the past, but never with Khabib.
So I've got to respect that. He's a formidable opponent. Wrestles rare since he's a kid. Has put a lot of time into his stand-up work, and he was a lot sharper than I anticipated he was going to be.
He's letting us in on his vision, talks about what he didn't envision for 229, and breaks down some of what he sees now.
So I've got to respect that, you know, it was his big moment. Yeah. It's easy to do this once, okay? It's very easy for someone to be given something and to do it just one time. That's like, you put your absolute all into it. But to do it time after time and year after year, that's when the motivation kind of dips. That's when the dedication kind of lacks. And that's when people creep up. And that's what I feel has happened here, you know? I didn't give him his respect. I marched forward, didn't give
McGregor has one of the best and most imaginative minds for analysis and detail in the game, but he clearly didn't use it against Khabib. He's starting to envision it now and showing that manic excitement for the art of combat that made him such an infectious personality when he first burst onto the scene. Look how animated he is. His UFC 189 post-fight interview is classic McGregor using visual language to bring you into an intimate analysis of what really happened.
You know, them teeps to the gut, them side kicks to the gut, they don't look like much. To the naked eye, they don't look like much. Only me and him know about it. Only me and the opponent know about it. But they suck rounds out of you.
You didn't hear anything like this about Khabib or Nate Diaz the first time round. For those two, McGregor was talking in generalities, or about his whiskey.
gonna be a long night.
Yes.
He knows this.
Lord, Jamie, that's
He knows
tasty.
this.
I believe Conor wanted to fight Cowboy or Iaquinta, someone like that, and earn another shot at the belt. Work his way back a little bit before he cuts the line. But I don't think he expected the UFC to play hardball with the negotiations. When they did, he doubled down by saying if they want him to be the co-main, but not let him in on pay-per-view points, they would have to give him shares in the company.
I hope it's a long night.
Which is exactly what many dynamic businesses around the world do all the time to keep important people when they aren't in a position to increase their pay. Dana White refuses to budge. If McGregor won't give in, it's an impasse, which effectively shuts down all options except for title fights for Conor, which he does not deserve and nobody wants, except for Conor and probably Khabib. I was surprised everyone misinterpreted McGregor's retirement tweet so badly. He wasn't grubbing for attention. It's actually simple and straightforward. Just read the damn thing and ask the obvious questions. Alright, the first question, what does he mean by formerly known as mixed martial arts? Here Conor's trying to draw a distinction in time, like back in the day, there was honor in MMA or a better mindset among fighters. While people might agree with Conor in theory, most also see him as the major agent in that change for the worse. Who are these old colleagues and what does going forward in competition mean? He's talking about the guys he shared the octagon with, and giving respect to the ones who continue to fight and are active, like a Max Holloway. And last, who does he mean by former partners on this venture, already in retirement? Now, this is the entire and only point of his quote-unquote retirement. It's a boiling over of his frustration that the guys at the top of the division, who he could do business with, are simply refusing to be active. Specifically, Khabib, Nate Diaz, but also Ferguson, Poirier, and Iaquinta have all turned down fights and or put out tweets about retiring recently. Of course, we now know more about Ferguson's situation.
It's Tony time, bitches!
But still, at the time, that's what Conor's thinking was. Now, the irony is completely lost on Conor that he's the one who held up the division for 2 years not so long ago. But in his mind, it doesn't count because he was doing big business while away. First with Floyd Mayweather and then with his whiskey business. McGregor understands that Khabib was eligible to return on April 6th, but he's refusing to fight until November. And with his history of pulling out of fights, UFC will be lucky if he only sits out those 13 months. Take all of these factors into consideration, plus his impasse with the UFC negotiations over everything but title fights, and his growing obsession with the Khabib rematch, and it's obvious why Conor McGregor sent out tweets that crossed the line. Well, that's what I see. For Conor McGregor, the only move that currently satisfies all his wants from a business and competitive perspective is the rematch with Khabib. So this is why he will pull whatever levers necessary to make it happen. It's completely selfish of Conor and doesn't serve the division or fighters who deserve their own opportunities like Tony Ferguson and Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway. But unfortunately, Khabib Nurmagomedov left the door wide open by breaking his promise to bring stability to the division through regular defense of the belt in favor of a 13-month vacation. Then again, Khabib and his manager have been squawking about money fights ever since they turned the lights off on UFC 229. And since Khabib is not a money fight unto himself, he likely wants the matchup as much as McGregor does. I guess these two have more in common than we previously thought. Thank you for watching and all your patience with the channel. I have shifted the schedule and more episodes are on the way, so make sure to push the like button and subscribe to let me know you're interested. Remember, this isn't supposed to be easy.